Hello, I hope everyone's doing great today. And I just wanted to bring you a message today that I talk a lot about in classes and have been for quite some number of years because there's lots of things in our world that we have to deal with and that are variable and have impact upon us, our well-being, the stress that we have in our life. And one of those that's at the top of the list is going to be relationships. Um, Relationships are something that all of us have to work at. There's I haven't found a relationship yet in my life that I didn't have to do a little bit of work at to maintain it and or create a better relationship and an understanding between myself and whoever the relationship is with. One of the things about navigating this reality that we're in as we are moving, those of us who are trying to move into higher levels of consciousness and greater levels of purity, greater levels of understanding, and really be conscious, be conscious creators in what we're doing. And being a conscious creator is having accountability, responsibility, honesty, integrity, humility, and service. All those factors are really important in this. Another really important factor is respect, and I want to talk about that is a big factor in relationships. Respect. So when we're looking at our relationships and we're moving forward into a higher level of consciousness, we have to understand that if we're in a deep relationship with someone and we've had an epiphany or a groundbreaking experience or whatever we have that opens us up and we see the world in a different way and we start pursuing higher levels of consciousness, higher levels of purity and being, all of a sudden we're with this person or this relationship that has always seen us a certain way. And we've opened up, and when we become consciousness, we're changing the inner self, which is changing the outer self. And this relationship that we have is going to change. Uh, if the individual you're with, and this happens to be the case with nearly everyone, most relationships we're at different places in this evolution. You could be someone that is behind someone else in this exercise or this learning of evolving into to higher levels of consciousness. We could not be where someone else is, and that creates a dynamic of in the ego. Let's put it this way: in the ego of the person, your significant other or whoever you're with, that you're having this relationship and having challenges with, when you start changing and you're no longer what they expect, the first thing that their ego does for them is goes into danger. They start seeing, they start thinking there's something wrong here. This person is not acting the way they've always acted, and that is something that the conscious person in the relationship has to understand and has to ground themselves and really be in that, moving themselves into a level that is beyond that lower instinct. Let's call it that. That the way your ego wants to, the fight or flight or the attack, control. You have to, when you're evolving and you're moving into higher levels of consciousness, you begin to understand that this is a play. Those type of things are a play of the ego and a play of being living in the body or letting the body dictate what's going on in a form of ego, a form of fight or flight, or um, your ego wants what it's always had. It wants what it's comfortable with, even if it's bad, even if it's in a bad situation, until it finally figures out that what's happening is not really bad. So what I'm saying here is we have to move ourselves uh, in consciousness. We have to be conscious of everything that's going on. And in being in this superconscious state all the time, that takes practice. It's not something that it occurs all of a sudden. You wake up and you enlighten yourself and you become fully conscious and you're able to move yourself into the state of detachment, of loving detachment, without judging someone. It takes practice to do that. So the thing is, when you're in a relationship and you're in these conflicts, you get into these conflicts. When you're an evolved soul, you see this conflict coming before it gets to you, and you have a choice point. And it's at that choice point that we need to move ourselves into this higher level of consciousness and move ourselves into a loving detachment where we don't latch on to the attack or the things that the ego state of the individual you're with is throwing at you. They're a wonderful soul in there, and they haven't discovered yet. They will in time. Everyone will in their time will discover that they are something much greater than that ego and that body, and they will move along too. And you have to give them that time. So, when we're having these conflicts, you have to detach and be the one that is the example, and show them the example of love and what love can do and what loving detachment can be. So it takes time to do this. And another factor is, when you do these things, when you first start moving into a detached state with someone that you're in a relationship, when you're having these conflict situations, they're going to escalate. And that's something you need to be aware of. They're going to try to escalate the situation because they're not getting the energy back from you that they've always gotten. So they're going to up their game to try to get that response. And I've had varied things that I've had to do. I'll move into a state of detachment, and if they keep upping their response, I just tell them, well, we don't need to talk about this right now. And I'll walk away and go do something else. Uh, so you have to completely physically detach is what I'm saying at first. So one of the main things about these steps that we're going through here when we're working with someone like that is respect is number one. It's paramount. When someone is attacking you for something, most of the time it's about control or fear. Doubt. They doubt you. They want to control you. They fear what's happening because it's different than anything they've ever encountered before with you. And you have to reassure them, I love you, and I respect you, but you have to respect me too. There has to be you have to get through to the soul that you're not pulling back because you don't love them, or you don't, that you're trying to maneuver around them and control them. This has to be done in a form that, I love you, but I need you to respect me too. I'm going to respect you, and please respect me. And this takes time also. So if you're in a relationship that you really want to keep, and you need to keep um, this ideal of love and respect and being very, very conscious yourself and navigating this in a way that is not confrontational and gives them love back. So they're going to feel uneasy. They're already uneasy because you're changing. But, you need reassurance, and respect. I can't tell you how important that respect issue is. People understand respect and want respect. So, when somebody is trying to control you, that's disrespectful. If someone is bad mouthing you, that's disrespectful. So we have to be totally respectful. If we're conscious, we have to be loving in what we say, and we have to be respectful in what we say, and not try to control someone else. Uh, we have to be non-judgmental. All this takes practice. It takes awareness, being conscious all the time and being aware of what you're doing. So as you move through these situations, it's all about maintaining your love toward this individual, and it's and respect, giving them respect and asking for respect in return. Now, I've had relationships that I've worked on for some time, and the individual is just not ready. The individual that I'm dealing with, you know, is just not ready to move forward. They still need to do what they're doing and play in the arena, in that part of reality. And they're not responding to my love. They're not responding to my request for respect. Now, when I get into situations of that type, and I just really feel in my heart that this person is just not, it's just not ready for this. That's when I pull away, and even I separate the relationship, because it's detrimental. It's detrimental to you as a soul in your progress. I always put the offer in. I always put the offer in to everyone that I will love you and I will be your friend. And if there's not a mutual respect there, and I try that connection and it doesn't work, then I drop that connection. If someone is not resonating with me, resonating with me in what I'm doing, still I extend myself to them and work with everyone that I can. But if there is a lack of respect after I reach out and I try to, I'm working and giving them respect and love, then I walk away from those relationships. As you evolve in time here in this reality, you're going to have that. But there's one thing in all of this that holds so true, is even though there's going to be people walking away from you in your life that you don't connect with, and they're not giving you the respect and you need to move on, there's always others. There's all these other people who are working on the same thing that you're working on. And they're trying to move themselves into higher levels of consciousness. And you will be attracted to them, and they will be attracted to you. And in the coming years, there's going to be more and more of this as our energies attract each other. We're going to be moving into groups. That will be the first stage of this, moving into groups and then groups will start blossoming into more and more, where we live through this love, through this unconditional love and respect. If I love you unconditionally, what does unconditional mean? There's no strings attached, folks. Humans want to place restrictions and things attached to their love. Unconditional love has no strings attached. It's respect. It's non-judgmental. It's loving that soul. If I understand somebody's not on my path not in the same path with me, that's okay. I still love that soul, but I know that we just need to be apart right now because we're just not matching in energy, and it's really kind of detrimental to both sides in some instances when someone's needing to experience something differently than you are. So this takes work. So once again, primarily, this is about being super conscious all the time. This is about making a choice to pull back in loving detachment and having total respect. And it's about asking for respect and holding people to the need that you needed also. And really, the last thing I would say is consistency. Be consistent every single time that you engage. Be consistent. It's very detrimental to be in this, have varying states of consciousness in dealing with people because they don't know how to act. They don't know how to react to what you're doing. But if you're always in this super consciousness, I'll call it a super consciousness, a higher level of consciousness, uh, you're always approaching it with a loving, in a loving way, and you're always asking for respect, but you're being totally respectful. Your honesty level is there. Your honesty and your integrity. Remember, you're being accountable and responsible to yourself and others. You're having honesty and integrity. You're being honest to them and you're being honest to yourself. And you're having integrity with them and you're having integrity with yourself. And then you're having humility and you're serving. You're serving them. You're serving the rest of the collective and yourself. And one of the key notes here is this is about you in a way. We want to serve everyone else. I do. I want to serve everyone that I can. But you have to have all these things going on inside of you. Like I'm saying, you have to be honest with yourself. If you're not being honest with yourself, you're not having integrity with yourself. So all these things add up together for you just as much as they do for someone else. So anyway, hope you find that helpful in your relationships. Uh, these things have worked for me over the years, and I still use the same techniques and have been successful with them. And anyway, I wish you the best and blessings to you all. And I'll see you in the next video.